Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're plunging into a realm that's both fascinating and, well, let's be honest, a bit contentious. We're looking at the hidden world of football club brands, the whole push for fan ownership, and some, frankly, surprising vulnerabilities in intellectual property. Our mission today: to unpack a forensic review by Scott Michaels. He's a well-known football IP commentator, founder of Football is for the Fans, CIC, that's a nonprofit working for the community. He's flagged what he calls a billion-pound vulnerability in British football. Why? Because of significant, often overlooked trademark gaps. But here's where it gets really intriguing. This connects directly to the dramatic challenges Michaels himself faced trying to revive the New York Cosmos as a fan-owned club. Powerful figures involved. It's quite a story.
It really is.
Yeah.
And what's truly, fascinating here is just the sheer scale of the potential risk that Michael's review seems to have uncovered. His analysis, and this is based on publicly available trademark records from June 2025, points to just astonishingly patchy coverage from many clubs, even famous historic UK clubs. Sometimes the coverage is completely absent. He puts a number on it too. Estimates the commercial value of these club identities, of the very brand, the badge, the name, could exceed a staggering £3 billion.
3 billion, wow.
And to give you a feel for it, clubs like, say, Cheltenham Town, his review showed no visible trademarks found at all. Others, like Ipswich Town, Stockport County, they have no Class 35 coverage. And that Class 35, is critical. It covers things like advertising, business management, importantly, merchandising services, key commercial stuff. And it's not just smaller clubs, even giants, global brands like Chelsea, Manchester United apparently have wordmark gaps or possible wording limitations.
So the actual name Manchester United might not be fully protected in some ways.
Potentially, yes. Or there might be limitations on how that protection applies. Michaels argues pretty strongly that years of these incomplete registrations leave fan heritage just incredibly vulnerable. Vulnerable to opportunists, vulnerable to counterfeiting. He doesn't pull any punches, calls it corporate negligence.
Right, that's a heavy charge. Corporate negligence. Okay, so why? Why would this happen? Is it just clubs not knowing or maybe cutting costs or something else? And, what should they do right now beyond just a review?
Well, it's probably a mix of things, isn't it? Historical practices. Maybe IP law wasn't seen as core business back then. The landscape changes too. And maybe just a lack of in-house expertise sometimes. You can imagine clubs focusing more on, the next match, the big signing, rather than the nitty-gritty of trademark classes. Michaels is basically saying they need immediate full audits of their IP, then quick action to plug the gaps. Register everything, all relevant classes, globally too. But yeah, this isn't just dry legal stuff. To really get the stakes, you have to look at how these IP fights play out. And that brings us right back to Scott Michaels himself and his battle over the New York Cosmos revival.
Yes, the Cosmos Project. That hit some serious snags, didn't it?
Oh, absolutely. His WeFunder campaign, that's a big crowdfunding site aiming for a fan-owned Cosmos, it was suspended dramatically. Why? Direct legal challenges. And Michaels himself states he was, quote, targeted by a private investigator, engaged by Dentons acting for billionaire Rocco Commisso.
Dentons, the big law firm. Wow, so this links brand control directly to these really high-stakes legal fights. It really makes you ask, who actually controls a club's heritage? Is it the fans?
Yeah.
Or powerful individuals with deep pockets?
Exactly. That's the core question. When you mention Commisso, well, he's a familiar name in sports, often quite controversial, and definitely no stranger to legal battles himself.
Right, I remember hearing about that. Didn't he just lose a major lawsuit?
That's a really crucial piece of context here. He recently lost a lawsuit against the U.S. Soccer Federation. It was on antitrust grounds, which, makes his current stance against the fan ownership initiative seem, well, quite pointed. And despite losing that case, Michaels believes Commisso might face more legal trouble if he just keeps sort of warehousing the Cosmos name, holding onto it, but not actually using it for a team for the public benefit. Michaels is very outspoken here. He says football is supposed to belong to the people and not be left to rot in a legal vault. His point is you have to use trademarks in good faith. If you don't, you risk losing them. And he adds that fans, they'll find a way. They'll find a way to reclaim their culture, their club identity. It really throws that whole tension between legal ownership and public feeling into sharp relief.
It really does sound like a proper battle for the soul of football. And despite the WayFunder shutdown, the legal threats, Michaels sounds completely defiant. He said something like, "We don't need WayFunder or any other platform that can be silenced. We will run our own fan funding on our own platform and no one can shut that down." That's quite a statement of intent.
It is. And look, this whole situation, it has real tangible implications for you listening. whether you're a diehard fan or just interested in how big money impacts culture. Because these unprotected brands, it's not just about legal fights, it helps fuel counterfeiting. We're talking massive financial losses, estimated over £400 million a year just in sports merchandise. Huge numbers. So Michaels is basically calling out club executives, review your IP frameworks now. And he says he'll stand with the fans when they start discovering these gaps in their own club's heritage.
So, as we wrap up this deep dive, maybe we should leave you with Scott Michaels' closing thought, he said. The people will decide, not the billionaires. What does that really mean for the future of football? For the clubs we all care about, and for the fans who, let's face it, are its heart and soul. Something to think about until our next deep dive.